3 parts boat, 1 part tank, 2 parts barn, 0 parts armor. Nonetheless, you'd be wise to keep a wary eye out for this landing vehicle, I guess. Anyway, we'll see why during a low-tier rundown of the LVT A1. It goes without saying, but the first thing you notice about this thing is its size. It's a big fella, looking like a strange, awkward love child between a Higgins boat and an M3A1. A large tank, I hear you thinking. With such size it must be a shell magnet. Surely it's well clad in thick armor plate, no? Well, have you considered the opposite? What if it has no armor at all? What would that mean? A scintillating question, to be sure. In place of thick steel, we will instead sustain ourselves on men and empty space, and find them almost the superior option. Right, brass tacks. Everything about the turret and gun is good. It traverses at a blinding 17.4 degrees a second, and depresses to an acceptable -10. The 37mm M6 gun is flat shooting. Both shell types offer excellent penetration. Take the M51B1 shells. They're strictly better than the starting ammunition, but you don't need to rush them by any means. Unfortunately, neither type is explosive, but with the high velocity of the gun, they pierce deep and kick up a fair bit of debris. More importantly, the reload time's a mere 3.6 seconds, so you can fire the inevitable second and third rounds quickly. A low-speed stabilizer is included also, though normally the vehicle is moving too quickly for it to be very helpful. For its size, it's speedy and accelerates well, another benefit of not having to shift the weight of tons of armor. Top speed 40 km an hour, but a combat speed of 25-30ish. Reversing is very slow, so slow in fact that the gun stabilizer will be in effect. So if you're obligated to back up, fire as you go. Better yet, set yourself up so you can escape a fight by driving forwards. The LVT is positively bustling with crew, 6 in total. 2 in the front, 2 in the turret, and 2 exposed machine gunners in the rear. Interestingly, if you aim over the back of the tank, the machine gunners will fire, useful if you get ambushed from behind by something open-topped. The number and distribution of the crew make it such that it's highly unlikely you'll be one hit during a fight, though this typically occurs if you take a shell in the mouth and it runs the length of the vehicle. For this reason, you should angle the LVT, not to deflect shells necessarily, but rather so that any penetrating shot will exit the fighting compartment as soon as possible. It's also an amphibious tank, which is neat, but pretty much useless. You're slower and have no cover while swimming. If Gaijin one day models shells deflecting off the surface of the water, it may become more useful, but not at the moment. Okay, the armor. You should have picked up on this by now, but it might as well not even be there. 6mm on the hull and 12mm on the turret. It does, however, give us a chance to talk about an interesting War Thunder mechanic called over-penetration. APHE shells are the best anti-tank munitions you can use in general, but they have a quirk called arming sensitivity. As you wouldn't want large caliber explosives to go off if they happen to clip a twig or a fence, the fuses are set such that they will only detonate the shell shortly after they hit something suitably solid enough, such as armor plate. There are plenty of vehicles, like the LVT, where the armor is so thin that it's unlikely the fuse will arm. This phenomenon, combined with the vast expanse of empty space in the LVT, means that hits that would instantly destroy any heavier vehicle may instead sail through one side of the tank and out the other, doing almost no damage at all. This is the origin of the War Thunder saying, "No armor, best armor." In a strange reversal of the usual state of affairs, it's much better to get hit in the sides of the LVT than it is in the front, and hit you will get. It should be driven, in my opinion, as a poor man's assault vehicle. You need to keep it moving to avoid getting hit by every player on the enemy team, so best to drive it into the midst of the fight. Because it's almost guaranteed to soak at least 1 or 2 hits, it can be used to break the enemy lines and get your team onto contested sites or into defended positions. While this may seem suicidal, it's much better than the alternative. It's far too large and tall to do anything subtle or sneaky, and it's not nearly fast enough to flank. The life of an LVT is a fleeting thing. Best to get stuck in and take as many with you as you can. Use the turret traverse and high penetration to take on multiple vehicles in short succession, then hope either your team is there to back you up or you haven't taken any rounds in the turret yet. Here's a few tips to better your chances. As mentioned, angle the vehicle to keep incoming rounds from destroying more than needed, and if you're going to take a big hit, best to gamble on the side armor. The turret has a decent mantlet on it, so keep that pointed at the enemy. Lastly, don't let smaller vehicles get too close. The depression is such that you might not be able to hit them if they're right alongside you. The US tech tree is quite popular. You're going to encounter LVTs on a regular basis. Firstly, you should actively avoid one-on-one duels with them. They're hardy enough that they will almost always come out on top, and even if you kill their gunner, he'll be swapped out for another crew member before you've had time to kill them all anyhow. The exception to this rule would be vehicles with meaty exploding ammo types, like the Swedish IKV-72, in which case you can put a shot through the front of the upper superstructure to get nearly the whole crew. For those using small caliber guns with questionable ammo, which will be the majority certainly, you need to know the weak points of the LVT. Apart from the obvious positions of the crew, it has a big design issue, the drivetrain. Like most American vehicles, the transmission is located in the front and the engine at the rear. To connect them, a drive shaft runs through the middle of the crew compartment for the entire length of the vehicle. It's a fairly thin target, but it can be easily located by firing at the top of the pontoon armor side plate things here. The combination of engine, drive shaft, and transmission means you can easily disable its movements from basically any angle, and therein lies your best bet for dealing with the LVT. Once it can't move, it's a prime target for your whole team to dump rounds into. With a combined weight of fire, even this big, empty beast won't last long. I really enjoy playing the LVT. After driving so many 1.0 tanks that require you to tread on eggshells or get instantly destroyed, it's refreshing to rip around the battlefield with reckless abandon. If you're confident and push the enemy, you can make a respectable number of kills before being dragged down like a bison beset by a pack of wolves. My low tier rundown rating is an A, definitely superior to the average vehicle. Thanks for watching. Next week we have the LVT's remarkably similar but considerably smaller counterpart, the M2A4.